The August 22nd, 2011 meeting of the Public Safety Committee will now come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Antelli is excused. Mr. Beebe? Here. Mrs. Draw? Here. Mr. Eckel? Here. Chairman Hanna?
Here.
Mr. Lee? Here. Mr. Lightfoot? Present. Mr. McCann? Here. And Mr. Yolovich? Here.
Is there anyone signed up this evening for the public forum?
There is not.
Is there anyone present who would like to address the committee this evening? Mr. Donner? No. Very good. The next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. You have the June 27th, 2011 minutes before you. They'll stand approved unless the clerk is notified of any changes by the end of the day. Next item is new business, Madam Clerk.
Referral 11-198, authorize a contract.
Moved by Legislator Draw, seconded by Legislator McCann. Is there any discussion? Yes, Legislator Lee.
Okay, thank you. Through the chair to the administration, how many officers will be utilized for this contract? Wake up call.
There's 1 lieutenant, 2 sergeants, and 22 deputies.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 11-199.
Moved by Legislator McCann, seconded by Legislator Yolovich. Is there any discussion? Legislator Lightfoot.
Yes, through you, Mr. Chairman. How many existing positions with the DA and Sheriff's Probation Office will this grant funding support?
Through the chair, Jennifer Curley from the Sheriff's Office. 2 will be funded for the Sheriff's Office and 1 for probation.
Okay, 2 from Sheriff's Probation. Okay, and my second part 2, question 2 is through you, Mr. Chairman. How was the Boys and Girls Club selected to receive the accelerated reading program?
Through the chair, part of the impact grant required us as a law enforcement community to show that we were working with community agencies on prevention measures. The Boys and Girls Club was an agency that my office and the other law enforcement agencies had worked with in the past. We were familiar with their program and with the proven track record they had in terms of the accelerated reader program. And so as a group, the impact partners made the decision to include them in the grant, and the state chose to accept that and fund them.
All right. Through you, Mr. Chairman, there were some questions that I had concerning, a lot of them were concerning this grant that I had written and sent to administration. Did you guys receive that letter?
Through the chair, yes, we did. We did ask for clarification on a couple of the questions. On Friday, we sent a note to the staff office. I believe that the representatives of the Sheriff's Office can address the specific questions pertaining to the Sheriff's Office. 2 of the questions, number 5 was incomplete, so I'm not sure what was being requested, and we were asking for clarification on that. It just said please provide, but there's no specific request. Number 7, we'd asked for clarification. You had asked regarding the process for taking complaints at the Sheriff's Office. We weren't certain exactly what specific information you were looking for, but I think beyond those, if you'd care to clarify those here, we could certainly attempt to respond. And then the other questions, I assume the Sheriff's representatives can address those as well.
Okay, well, quite naturally, just looking at the referral and a lot of things that I've recently been through, I've been looking into this referral a little more deeper. The part of the referral says that the program is designed to get violent criminals off the streets. So quite naturally, my question becomes, what are some of these, because this is not the first time we've received this grant. We've received this grant several times. I just wanted to see some of the numbers of what are these arrests, how are we showing, quantifying and qualifying the fact that we're getting actual violent criminals off the street. That was really one of my major questions that I had.
Through the chair. Now, what I'm going to speak of is strictly what the Sheriff's Department does for Project Impact. The Rochester Police Department gives us areas to target during the time frames due to what they feel are the high crime areas in the city. We participate with the city police and the New York State Police, and we target these areas. The deputies assigned to the impact basically respond to calls that would appear, number one, to be a violent crime. I've personally worked impact. I did it last week. I did it a few weeks ago. The calls for shots fired, person with a gun, those are the calls that the deputies and the troopers and the Rochester Police that are assigned to Project Impact, they respond to those calls and attempt to locate the people that are involved in the crimes. As far as how we, determine if we're in fact taking care of these violent crimes is that we take our statistics of the arrests and how many guns and drugs that we take during the impact times, and we have some of that information here tonight.
Right. Yeah, I'm very interested to see some of that information as well as some. I won't go into any other of some of the questions because a lot of them I think were geared towards the district attorney's office as far as types of charges and what people are pleading to and those kind of things. I think are not germane to this particular referral. But in this particular referral, I definitely had a concern with what impact, because me being in my constituent, in the area that would be considered targeted, I'm seeing, stops of people without bells on their bicycles and various other things that I'm literally seeing hundreds of thousands of dollars of resources that are being spent to low-level crimes or low-level situations that, in my opinion, when just blocks away there are major drug cells and major problems that are going on. I passed by today and still happening, but it seems like, so I'm like, what impact is it really having on the community if, we're seeing constant things like that going on, but then we see folks that seem to be targeted, seem to be low-level offenders. So I just wanted to see the numbers and see if we're actually making an impact on the community or if, we're just out there, so to speak. That's all, Mr. Chair.
I can, through the chair, I can briefly respond to that. Number one, I just saw a report put out by the Monroe Crime Analysis Center where it said that within Monroe County, I believe, violent crime for the year is down. A total of violent crime is down about 30%. So obviously there's some type of impact there. With your question referring to people being stopped on the street, when the officers aren't responding to calls, that's their job, is to stop people for legitimate reasons on the street. I personally seen the same thing that you're talking about people getting stopped for violations on a bicycle, but I can tell you I've also seen the end result in that where they're taking guns and drugs off those people. So we're not targeting people because, we want to stop them because they're riding their bike. The people that are riding the bikes out in the street at 3 o'clock in the morning are typically or could be the people that are involved in the crime. So that's why you may see that. You might not see a house that is a drug house, the deputies or the officers responding to that from Project Impact, because that house may be an upper-level drug house, which may be under investigation, which those types of houses, could take months or years to get an actual case, a good case against an upper-level drug or gun dealer. So that would be the difference that you would see.
I thank you for your time, for your information, and I'm not trying to get into a debate with you, but I'm 39 years old, and those people have been standing out there for 39 years. So hopefully we can see but greater impact in the future. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 11-200.
Moved by Legislator Yolovich, seconded by Legislator Draw. Is there any discussion? Legislator Yolovich.
Chairman, just a quick question. I noticed that the funding has been decreased by 33 grand for the DA and 24 for the public defender. And I'm wondering, that $630,000, is that traditionally split half and half, or is there a percentage of difference there too? Because I see the DA's decrease is more than the public defenders.
Through the chair, my understanding is that there's an 8% decrease across the board due to state budget reasons, which may account for the fact, since our portion was larger to start with, the 8% had a larger effect on our budget.
Okay, your portion is larger to start with. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 11-201.
Moved by Legislator Draw, seconded by Legislator McCann. Is there any discussion? Seeing Legislator Eckel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Could I get confirmation? This is the 6th year of the program's operation, through the chair?
Through the chair, Bob Burns from probation, and I'm also the reentry task force coordinator. I'll confirm that 2006 was at least the first application year. Whether this is the 6th or 5th award, I'll confirm that. But 2006 was the first year that the governor's office offered these funds.
Fantastic, thank you. Through the chair, how successful has this program been? In other words, how many have been served?
Through the chair, the program is actually a statewide program, and the reporting comes from DCJS in Albany. They've had some significant personnel changes there. They're talking about a report that will give some good, solid information about success of the reentry program. Locally, we know that it's working very well, that when individuals are returning to Rochester and Monroe County from New York State Prison or from federal prisons or from other incarceration situations, they will recidivate at a much lower level when they have suitable housing, when they get a job, and when they're in treatment to remain sober. We've been in the area of 11 or 15% recidivism rates compared with extremely higher rates before the program began. Now that's Monroe County, and that's only what we have here. But it is a statewide reentry program. I think sometime in the next 6 months there'll be a report from DCJS in Albany. We'll make that available to Mr. Helfer, and I'm sure that can get to the legislature.
Thank you. That through the chair, that was going to be my next question: is if we can get a copy of that report, please. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 11-202. Authorizing.
Moved by Legislator McCann, seconded by Legislator Yolovich. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Item carries. That will do it for new business. Are there any other matters to come before the committee this evening? Legislator Lightfoot.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just wanted to kind of wrap up that last part with the administration for those questions. We'll continue to work with you guys until we can kind of get whatever it is we were missing that you didn't understand or whatnot. We'll continue to work with the staff and make sure we can clarify that to get all of the answers and some of the reports and things that we were asking for. Is that okay through you, Mr. Chairman?
Absolutely.
Mr. Chairman, yeah, we will provide a comprehensive response to all of your questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other matters to come before the committee? There being no further business, the August 22nd, 2011 meeting of the Public Safety Committee now stands adjourned. The next meeting of the Public Safety Committee will be held on September 26th, 2011 at 5 p.m.